Hello and good morning. This is Charles from the Road Under Nihil team. So I want to describe a little bit more about the experience and some of the design decisions we've made. Um, yeah. First of all, I want to make it very clear, which we've also tried to indicate on the webpage, that each group plays 5 characters, and those 5 characters are the same in every group. So basically, you all play. One would be playing um, Stukov. Let's call him Stukov. And then everybody's playing Stukov, and maybe there's a male version of Stukov, and there's a female version of Stukov from StarCraft. but um, and you can take that character in different directions, but everyone gets that same character. So the way that you interact with the other players at the LARP is not by meeting Stukov during the LARP, but it is by writing in a diary. So everybody writes in a diary in each section of their trench, and they leave that diary behind for when the next group arrives to that section, and then they can read about what happened to their character. So yeah, and how you interpret this information is obviously very much up to you. So does it mean that you can't remember what happened? In fiction, it's definitely your handwriting, even though somebody else wrote what happened. Which is why we have like very distinct Danish one where everything is in Danish and you write your diary in Danish, and we have an English one where everything is in English and the diary is also written in English. Um, so you obviously have to either not think about if there's some mention of gender that doesn't fit, or just avoid to use gender nouns in general. Um, there's not going to be any Cthulhu zombie invasion plot, something like that. This is supposed to be a very immersive experience about 5 people during World War One experiencing the trench not larpfare, but warfare firsthand. And so the way that it works is that you move around in this trench in different sections, and there's going to be an NPC that comes down and shouts at you and like, oh, you need to get on, and there's like a flute or something like that, and there's like a whole small happening every time you move around. And we try to make the movement bits different from each trench, so you get sort of a new feel of how it is to move around. And you're very welcome to opt out from the crawling in the mud to the next trench bit. But that's again up to you and your group whether you want to have the full hardcore experience, or you want to have something a little bit more flexible. Yeah. So one of the ideas is to and sort of the feeling that we want to invoke with the diary and this like being a lot of different people moving around in this trench in a specific order is to have a little bit of a loss of time, a loss of memory, like what did really happen when you were here last time. And every time you move around, like the diary gets more and more filled with information that you didn't write as a player, but your character wrote. And maybe you get to the same trench at some point, and a lot of stuff has happened in the diary since last time. Stuff has been moved around within that trench section. So generally, there's a lot of like we generally want to create a scenario, like a situation where every time you move around, you get a lot of information that you can play around with within your character. So you can like react to what happened since last time. And some of the other people playing your character might have experienced something in their trade section that they can write in the diary, either between the characters and say, oh, like this other character was really mean to me, or we had a discussion about this, or I called his parents something bad and he got really angry, or so you basically it's a tool to create conflicts, and it's a tool to create um, to develop the story between the characters. Each section has a different function in the war. So basically, there we want to have like a post office where you can write letters, and you can also look through other soldiers' letters and sort of sort them out. Maybe some kind of communication post where you have a radio that you have to communicate with some NPC from some kind of command office, give them some information. A lookout post, ammunition post, like ammunition quarter, a dining hall where you get some food, and where you can refill your canteen. Every player also has this picture of a person that they hold dearly for different reasons, and the other characters in your group might have another relation to your personal relation, but what we hope is that it adds some kind of tension having this having these different people that you have a picture of that makes them feel real, and you can write about them in the diary, and sort of like with the other people also playing your character have this kind of dialogue about how you feel about that person, and if those thoughts develop in different directions, and maybe you remember it differently, and that's also something that you can talk about with the characters in your trench, what happened there. And some of those stories is also a little bit dark. Maybe there was some violence, maybe there was some alcohol, maybe there was some different problematic Nordic LARP style stuff that happened to this other person that's maybe not that nice, that you can play around with and that you can develop on. Again, we in the characters we're gonna have some dark themes, but this is also something you as a player can steer a little bit away from if you want to avoid certain themes, and you can like agree with the group, let's not discuss this kind of topic or this kind of topic. It might appear in the diary from some other people, but then you will just have to ignore those bits. Yeah, we want to keep the action to when you move around. So when you need to go to the new trench section, we're going to try and have some sort of explosions, either made by sound or maybe have some literal explosions. We're working with, or we're trying to get a real World War II reenactor to join the LARP, a good old friend called Christian Kerf, and he's helped me out with some explosive stuff in the past, which hopefully will create this extra feeling of it being really real or a bit more immersive. But we're gonna keep that mainly to like the moving around bits, so that there's clear distinction between the action parts and the a bit more safe in the trench. Now we're developing our characters, discussing everything, can take that in different directions. So whether you want to focus your LARP experience on the physical play between you, fighting, or maybe some love play, or maybe it's about crying, or maybe you're more about laughing, maybe you want to have this comic distance to the whole thing. This is very much up to you as a group, which kind of experience you want to have, and you can also take breaks as your group during the LARP and sort of like rework what direction you want to take the LARP, or you can agree that it should be like in game all the time, all the way through. Each trench section is going to have a off-game ladder to get out and to go to the off-game room, and to if you need a break from the LARP, or you have some issues, or something emergency stuff happens, or some kind of medical thing, then you can always leave the trench to go to the organizers, and we will help you in whatever way we can. Yeah. What else is there? Yeah. So the only face-to-face interaction you would have is the people in your group and with some NPCs. And it's gonna be a few NPCs. It's not gonna be. We're not gonna have like 50 NPCs running around giving a whole big experience about it. We're gonna have a few people, and maybe some of them are gonna play different characters. We wanna keep it simple and from our part, But mainly you will just interact with a few people ordering you around. Maybe there's a place with a medic station where there's a doctor that's going to examine you. Some small bits like that. Um, Maybe there's a raid that happens at some point. But yeah, then you can react to it however it fits for you. Yeah. So basically, we wanna really try to design an experience where your group can sort of agree on what kind of experience you want to get out of it, and yeah, and in that sense, it's sort of a mix between some black box free form LARP experience where you're like this small group of people having a very intense character narrative, and at the same time, it's this big scenography, big crazy 360 explosions, sound effects, lots of layers, stuff happening. So we're trying to sort of see if we can find the best of both worlds. And instead of making 150 characters or 50 characters that are all unique and have their different perspectives, where we can have limited time working on each character, we can use a lot of time working on these 5 characters, really nailing some very interesting aspects and making all of them feel very special and interesting to play out something you really want to do for a long time. And you always also have some bit of co-creation with the character. And during the workshop before the LARP, we'll divide you both to work with your group and also to work with the other people playing your character to some extent. But it's mainly going to be functioning about what do your group want, what kind of experience do you want, and then us going through some important parts of the LARP and some safety rules and that kind of stuff. But we're going to keep it like as a very focused workshop experience. Yeah, but that's everything from me. And I hope this gets you a little bit more excited about the LARP. I know that we've maybe been a bit unclear with some of the design. It's also been a bit difficult to sort of figure out how much we should explain and how much should be, and also both how to explain it and how much we should explain it, and also, like as I've written out just recently for a post, we have this very, very, very special ending that we've been planning out and that we're really excited about. But we really don't want to spoil the ending because, yeah, it's something that we think is really cool, and that maybe for some people it would be nice to get it spoiled, but for some people it definitely they wanna experience that without knowing what's coming. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening, and hope that you will sign up for Road Under Nihil so we can get to build our trench.